So welcome to our weekly hangouts, and today our reflection question is was one big five. Which one would it be, and why? I seem to have disabled my camera. Cool. There we go. If your day was one of the big five, which one would it be and why? Right, I see a lion. Okay, tell us why. Tell us why. Tell us why. I would like to see at least 2 more responses. If your day was one of the big five, which one would it be and why? Okay, so here we're talking about big five in attacked my enemy. Attacked my enemy of a big project that was tough. Okay. All right. Somebody else. So if you're not too sure which are the big five, we have the lion, the leopard, the elephant, and the rhino and the buffalo. All right. If your day was one of the big five, I'm looking for 2 more responses. What would it be and why? Mine would be an elephant because it's been a good day of grazing, where grazing includes research work, content work. It's been a really good day. I have aced a few things today. All right. So as we continue to think about that, a leopard was more of a solo mission, solved things alone, and I was efficient. Excellent, excellent. You see how it makes us think? This is a thinking space, and I love it. I love it. I love it when we come into here and we have all these thoughts and we make it work. So karibuni sana to the finale of our conversation. For this month, we've been talking about from seen to sold. Last month it was be seen, be chosen. And this is from seen to sold, and we'll be letting you know what we're moving to next in the new month. However, what I want to figure out is how many of us have done something transformative this month? What have you done that has shifted the conversation around your business? Maybe have you clarified your idea? Dorothy, it would be exciting to know how far you went. You did a fantastic mind map last time at the end of our marketing section. Have you implemented your mind map? I'd like to hear where people are quickly. And just let me know. You can put it in the chat. You can unmute and let us know how far you've gone. What has shifted this month? Any takers for sharing? For those of us who are new, karibuni sana. We love having new people in the room. All right. So anybody who has made progress with your learnings of this month? Who wants to share? Just put it in the chat and we shall read it out. All right. Excellent. I'm looking forward. I know sometimes it takes a while to type, so I'll give you some time to type. Okay. I used A1 on a huge contract to sharpen my presentation. Excellent. Excellent. AI. Okay. I used AI on a huge contract to sharpen my presentation. Excellent. I love when we are actually able to put what we're learning into practice, and then that practice pushes us to the next level. So today we're talking about market activations. And really what we want to see in this conversation is how a physical interaction, not just digital, because we talk a lot about digital, but we're looking at how planning a successful pop-up or stall helps. Many of us don't have physical shops. Some of us do, but many of us don't. But let's talk about what it means to get our product in front of our customers in a way that they can interact with them. So we're still talking about sales conversion. This is a topic of the whole month. Our guiding question is what makes a pop-up market stall or activation effective. We'll give you a checklist, and really by the end of it, you'll be able to understand how to plan these physical activations for visibility, engagement, trust, and sales outcomes. Now, we do not promise that if you deploy these things, you've got instant responses, but this takes us repeated action to actually make it work. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So this is important because many of us focus very heavily on digital visibility, but underestimate the power of interaction. Physical interaction is what puts you in front of your customers, yes, but it also allows them to really discover your product. Maybe they know that you have a good book you've written, but they have not had a moment to see the quality of the print. They've not had a moment to really just flip through it. So if you're a bookseller, you could have a couple of books people could flip through before they make their purchase decision. If you're a baker, you could have them taste a product. If you make jewelry, they could actually see them, feel them, touch them, understand that the cost is because of the weight and the quality and things like that. So many times the physical activation is the first real encounter that allows our customers to ask questions, experience us directly with this product or service, and then decide if they will trust us or not. Now, remember, trust comes in steps. In this space, we say very often that people make a choice after 7 to 12 touches. So the physical should be one of those ones. And really, it is not an automatic sale. It doesn't automatically succeed. It needs certain things to go through. I think you've heard people say, oh, we took up a booth and we didn't sell anything, or we didn't make as much as we paid for the table. We'll look at some of those things as we go along and really see how they help businesses turn visibility into real interaction, trust, and sales opportunities. So let's talk about what it's not. A market activation is not just being present. Kuwa hapo tu. Have you ever gone to Masai Market, for those of you here in Nairobi, any of the Masai markets, and you find there are people who just look at you as you pass? They're there, their shop is stocked, but they're not actively working to engage with you. And it's not about decoration of how perfect your table looks, how well your stand is done. It's not simply about appearing busy or attending every market opportunity available. It's not that. Activation is a physical setup or experience. It is designed to help the right customer. Keyword there is right customer, notice the business, understand the offer, interact with it, and move towards a next step. Now, next step could be sign up, could be taste, could be purchase. Next step varies, and we'll see that in a bit. And it's really designed to help customers encounter us, engage with, and respond to the business. Therefore, market activation is very intentional, very intentional. We don't go into it assuming we know what we are doing. We need to go in with a very clear plan. So it's very, very intentional. When we say that, it could be one of many things, a pop-up shop, a market stall. So for those of us who know the organic farmers market, it could be that. It could be the Kilimani, what do they call it? The Kilimani market that is very often along that road near Life Ministry, right? It could be the Kilimani market. It could be a pop-up. If you're in handicrafts, we have the Masai market, which on Tuesday it's near Globe Cinema. On Wednesday it's at Capital Center. Thursday I think it's at Village. So it goes rotating. Actually, I think Village have their own. So it could be something like that. It could be an exhibition stand in a trade fair. It could be a road show, a tasting station inside a supermarket. I think you've seen how Blue Band, when they brought in the new chocolate, Blue Band did that. We've seen how Dairy Made did that when they were changing their ice creams into different tiers for different price points. We've seen that with Farmer's Choice, with cinnamon cheese. Really, we know tasting stations inside supermarkets. It could be a product demonstration. You could be working within the community. If it's a community product, you could have them coming into your shop for an experience, or you've set up a temporary sales point, or you've gone to a networking event and you get to do a showcase. Whichever it is, a strong activation creates movement, not just attention. It would be sad if you took your whole self and your whole product and people just said, interesting, and no one bought. Right? What you want to do is get people interested, get them to test, a couple to buy, and even some who may not purchase immediately, but connect to your product and come and purchase later. So it really could be any of these, but it is a physical interaction with your product. So what are some core pillars that we need to look at? So activation starts before the event. A successful activation starts even before you pack your bags to leave for the setup, right? It starts with, and we go back to this every time. I hope by now you understand how critical it is. It starts with understanding your audience. Who's your customer? Where they at? Would they go to this particular kind of show? Would they be interested in your product? And then you clarify your goal. Why are we there? We're not there just to bangaiza. Now what is that for bangaiza? We're not just there just to waste time, right? And then you have to choose the right event. Are you choosing an event your audience will actually attend, or are you just going because everybody's going to that show? Then you prepare your offer so you know if you're giving a discount there, if you're giving a promo code, if you're giving a bonus, because sometimes we could retain price but add a little element to it, right? And then you plan how you'll interact with your customers, and you will train your team on how to do it. Then prepare the materials, think through the follow-up, assign responsibilities if you have a team, test your logistics, estimate your cost and expected return. Now, this is the one most of us do not do. We take up a table and we assume that we will sell enough. But if we have not tackled the audience and the right event, then we could go for an event and come back in the red, more in the red than when we went to set it up. So really, it starts long before we open the table. So these are the questions you need to ask. Who is in attendance? We have a summit coming up this week, and you have to be strategic to understand of the speaker speaking, will they draw in the audience I'm looking for? Are they likely to buy my product or service, or at least have an interest at the very least? Because when people have an interest, you could convert them, right? But you also have to understand the problem they're trying to solve and whether you're the right person, whether it attracts decision makers or browsers. Now, this is critical because many times you go for an event and the people there are just browsing. They're not the ones who will make the buying choice. They will collect your card, but there'll be nothing active they will do post-event. And is your customer actually present, and can this realistically support your goals? Remember, we said we must clarify our goals. So activations are not as they are not a strategy on their own. They must be part of a larger strategy. So you could be saying every year we want to go to 3 activations and make contact with 300 people and then be able to turn 10% of that into sales or 20% into sales. So does it support your goals? Because the goal is to attend strategically and not just attend all available events. I'll give an example. Bank used to have a fun day for kids. In that place, all you would find is vendors who do activities around children. Now, you could come and find you are 5 different puppeteers. So did you actually do your homework? The other question you need to ask the organizers if you're stepping into somebody's event is how many other people are there in your category? Right? So when you ask that question of how many other people are in your category, you can tell whether based on the knowledge you have on the event, it will actually be valuable, or the competition will be too stiff, or because you'll be alone, it will be the best thing ever. That truly is what you must come up and you must look at. Why is that important? It is important because at the end of the day, what we're working to do is to ensure that every time we go to market, we have not only the right crew on site with us, but we also are in the right place to ensure that we meet our customers. So if we have ever gone for an activation and it has fallen flat on its face, let me see NN in the comment section. I can see a comment. I finally pitched an idea I've been sleeping on with a potential partner, and they bought into my idea. I dance in celebration of your progress. One of the things I'm loving about this space is how much we are all growing. Excellent. So some of us have gone into spaces where we have discovered it is the wrong space in hindsight. That can be rough, but I like to think about it like school fees. We made it out. So the goal is to attend strategically. Figure out even before you leave your shop, even before you make that payment for that particular event, does it meet and support your goals? All right. Now, second, your setup communicates fast. Your setup communicates fast. What does this mean? When people come into a space, how you have set your space without your words before you speak, it says something about you. What does your table look like? How is your signage? If you have products, what is the display like? Are you dressed well as a team? Is the appearance of everything cohesive, put together? Have you seen the way we sometimes have people manning stands who are just moody? I don't know if anybody has seen them. They look like they have been dragged out of bed and told they must be there. You have to look at the appearance of your teams. Are your teams welcoming? Are you welcoming, or do you all look stressed? Is your branding right? Do you have the right packaging? What is your posture? Is it of confidence, or do you look intimidated? Because all these things and more contribute and communicate something about the state of your business, the quality of your product, and really what people can expect from you. So a strong setup helps customers quickly understand who you are, what you sell, who it is for, what makes it useful, and what action to take next. So in the place of what makes it useful, how eloquent are your teams in describing or in articulating what your product does? Customers should not struggle to understand your business in the first few seconds. If it's taking too much to explain what you do or what product you have, then you realize you have to do retraining of your teams or re-envisioning how to sell the product. Sometimes what we do to manage costs, we get what's the word? We get casuals, like the way when a venue has a lot of events, they get casuals. When it comes to activation stands, it becomes a little bit tricky. But let's say you've outsourced your activation to a marketing firm, then that is possible to happen. I remember one day going to one of the main supermarket chains, and there was a lady there. They were activating pre-packaged, like cake in a pack, right? And they were activating their Monday to Thursday, 8 to like 4 p.m., 5 p.m. But when do people shop in 24-hour chains? In the evening. So I asked her, how is business going? And she's like, imagine it's not good. Other supermarkets have traction, but this one doesn't. I said, because in this supermarket, as guys come to shop at night, even I'm here early, I'm shocked. So I said, if you want to activate and meet families, because it was a family product, consider coming over the weekend and staying late. And so what happened the next few times I saw them activating that particular product in that supermarket, it was now later in the day and it was over the weekend, because we like that supermarket. It's 24 hours. So we can enjoy our Sunday and go and shop late in the evening, or the same with Saturday. So what you're thinking about is, where is your customer? What is good for them? How are they going to manage it? And then moving it from that perspective. Because remember, we go to where our customers are. So if you do not know your customers, then you're going to the wrong place. All right. So next, engagement matters the most. So a good activation creates opportunities for engagement. And this is a whole list of what people could do. Some of the most effective things we've seen is quick consultations, mini experiences, live examples. Let me talk about, there was a wedding fair I went for, and the stand that had the most activity was the one where they were doing quick makeup tutorials. Why? First of all, we all want to look good on a daily basis, but this was how they were proving that they were excellent for bridal makeup, right? Others were using like the physical product, so you can see the different kinds of chairs. Then they have running reels of what they have done, so they have this huge screen running the different wedding setups they've done. And what people got to do is really interact with everybody's product. The cake people had cake on site. The decorators had different styles, different options, pictures, visuals, everything. What they were working to do, each and every one of them, is everybody gets a mini experience of the product. Engagement matters. Remember, people want to test. They want to see if they can trust you. They want to understand that there are other people like them who you have served. So these are some of the ways you can quickly help them test and engage with your product. The person who does not buy immediately, they could still be so interested, refer you to somebody, save your contact, maybe return later, or be a future customer. So there are times you go to a stand and people assess that this one is not buying now. Who is easy, and then they begin to ignore you. Maybe we should challenge our teams to engage with everybody with such efficiency that even if they do not buy now, they will buy at a later date. And that's what we're working to do. However, of course, our focus at the forefront is always the ones who are buying immediately. So then we must remember that people remember experiences more than static displays. So if you're just going to have somebody standing there who looks absolutely bored or unmoved and just product, you are unlikely to move your product. One of the most effective ways of ensuring engagement is to walk around and meet people. I don't know if you've seen this, especially at the tourism fairs. You will find certain stands have people who are just roving around. Oh my goodness, yeah. If you like that, then we may have something you like, and they'll give you their stand number and their line. What that does is that it brings engagement to where the people are and drives it to where you want them to go. So activations should measure immediate sales, leads, relationships, visibility, quality, and future opportunities. That's why many times they ask you to do what? Sign. Now, sometimes when you're doing activations in supermarkets, I've just learned to give them test and give an honest response, because the activators are actually measured by how much activity happens when they're on the floor. So feedback is absolutely important. So be sure that you have a feedback collection mechanism that ensures people are able to tell you what they like, what they don't like. Either you're asking questions or you have them sign up somewhere and give you their feedback that way. Sounds like a lot of work when you think about it, but at the end of the day, what you want to be able to say is that you went out and you met your people and you had a fantastic impact. So number 4, have a clear conversion pathway. What is the next step? We are leading people towards specific action. Is it buying? Is it ordering? Is it joining a list, following your socials, booking a consultation? Whatever it is, your team needs to know that the end game of this is that. All right. It is possible that you have multiple actions you want people to take. So for the one who is like, I really, really need this, you encourage them to buy. Have some smaller packages. Like I remember I went for an activation. I went for an event one day and I really wanted to try someone's product. And because they had small packs, I was very, very happy, because then I could buy the small pack, test, and come back because it worked. So let's say you're selling beauty products, lotions, and things like that. When you come to the activation site, whether you're at let's say a trade fair, it was always good to have you have testers for people to test, as well as some small packages for people who want to buy and go home and try, or take to somebody and try, and then of course your other package sizes. Now, what happened at the one where I went, I was a first-time buyer, so I bought everything small, but then the people who are like, oh, you're here, I'm so glad because my product has run out. What has happened is after buying those 2 small packs, I am an avid buyer from that particular brand. So you have to know what action you are guiding people towards. If it's a trip you want them to take, maybe you want them to sign up. And in signing up, they express interest and you send them details. So just be absolutely clear about what you want people to do. This helps your teams and yourself, of course, settle into the task of the day. So you should be answering questions like, what should they do next? How do they contact you later if it's a contact later? If they want a follow-up, how will you follow up? So you could say, we can send you a WhatsApp message tomorrow, or we can send you an email on Monday. You have to have the different options. How will you track interest? So you have to know when someone shows interest, what are the possible things we can do? And how will you continue the relationship post-event? Some people don't want to talk to you afterwards. So you also have to understand where your customer lies in that range. So visibility without follow-up becomes wasted effort. So you go to an event, you meet people, you say, oh, let me send you a message in 3 days, where you never send. So that now becomes wasted effort. And follow-up for long-term value. Now, a strong activation includes multiple follow-up patterns, but you also have to figure out, based on your client group, which is the best. Sometimes, and in this day and age, I met somebody on Friday and then she sends me a link, join my WhatsApp group. Okay. But we only met on Friday, so I'm not yet at that point of being in your personal WhatsApp group and you sell 3 products, right? I'm more comfortable to have you saved in my phone as Jane of milk, so that when I want milk, I will call you, right? But I found her product very interesting because what she's doing, she is making different milk products, selling them in Nairobi, but she's growing her organic farm in Shags. Now, for me, that is interesting. Not from the point of buying the milk yet, but just from the point of interest. Like, okay, so how do you do it? Because her up country is not of 20 minutes away, right? So you have to have a clear follow-up plan. Her plan was, when we met on Friday, she took my number. I said, just send me your price list. Price list landed yesterday. At least there's still enough time for recall. If she sent me that price list on Friday, I will have forgotten what we're talking about. So you also have to figure out in your follow-up structure, what is the timeline of the follow-up, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But sometimes the real value appears weeks or months later. It's not like immediate, but have you made the contact? And when you follow up, what's the system you're going to use to keep that warm lead warm until it turns hot? Sometimes the lead is warm because I'm trying to think of, who can I refer this person to? All right. So you have to think about it from that perspective. But what is your follow-up plan? And if you don't have one, you've not had one in the past, please quickly do it. I remember one day we had an international match. It was many years ago, and we printed what, 5,000 of those little flags. You know those flags we used to do in the Nyayo era. We printed 5,000 of those, or maybe it was 10,000. We printed many, and we set up, and they were cheap. But guess what the market did to us overnight? Guys went and printed the bandanas. So which would you prefer? This flag for 10 bob, I think 20 bob, or the bandana? So did not sell half our stock. Eventually, we had over a project somewhere, and there were some games for some children. We went at a loss because we had not assessed the market right, and we eventually just gave those to a school somewhere, right? So we didn't have a clear assessment, because we knew out there there'd be market to sell things, but we didn't clearly tag the audience what we were looking at, and we were just looking at moving product. We had no plan beyond moving product, and you can hear we moved less than half what we wanted to move. So in that event, we didn't even make back cost, right? Simply because we had not identified our audience clearly, whether they would be there, whether this is exactly what they wanted, or this was now the rave from the previous match. So little things like that can really affect how your activation works, whether it is fully useful to people or whether it just flops. And those are the things we seriously must be tracking. All right. So if you're still with me and this is making sense, please let me put a YY in, let me say a YY in the comment section as we continue. And as I take a sip of tea. Excellent, excellent. I can see we're together. So, what is our activation checklist? These ones are what we call your secret weapons, the things you need to put together so that then you are actively. Okay, sorry, I'm using a new machine, so it's doing some wonders for me. All right, so there we are going to structure them as pre-event, event, and post-event. So pre-event, define your goal, clear goal. And it could be any of these or something absolutely different. These are just examples. What do you want to achieve by going for this particular event? What do you want to achieve? What are the things that you must come back with? All right. Is it sales? Is it leads? Is it launching the product? Are you testing to see customer response to it? Is it visibility or just finding potential partners? You must be clear. Now, for those of us who may not have a product and we are the product because we offer a service, when you go for a conference, what is your goal? I know that when Joe and I go for conferences, we have the significant, we want to meet this number of people. And when we look through the speaker list, we want to connect with XYZ. Why do we want to connect with those people? To build relationships for future partnerships. All right. So you define your activation goal. Please don't make it more than 3 things. Preferably 1 or 2. Why? Then you can focus on that. You can define the audience for that. You can be clear when you talk to your people. So you define your goal. Number 2, you figure out your main call to action. Is it sign up? Is it call? Is it buy, join a group, follow us? Have your main call to actions. Now, remember, if you've got 2 goals, you may need to have 2 call to actions. But you need to be clear. Your teams need to be clear before they even get there. That this is the goal, this is how we're arriving at the goal, and this is what we want people to do, right? And then figure out what banners do you need? Sorry, that should actually not be banners. What are the things you need to carry? Should be what do I need, all right? Is it banners? Is it price list, catalog, packaging? What is it you must have? Is it display stands, QR codes for people to scan and get a link to your group, a link to your website, whatever it is? Do you want to have goodies for people to carry? I know usually the standard at exhibitions is sweets for people to eat, but are you going to buy the regular sweets like everybody, or will you go the extra mile to be remembered? You need to figure out what you need to carry. All right. This is your packing checklist so that before you leave your shop, your office, your house, all these things are checked off. And when the event is over, you have a checklist to measure by whatever needs to come back. Why is this important? You don't want to get there and be rifling through boxes, cartons, crates looking for your business cards, which if you thought clearly, they're on your desk. So what do you need to carry along with you? And then the other thing you need to think about is how will you collect information? The standard thing people usually do is a visitor's book, right? But could it be a QR code that people can sign up and leave you contacts? Let's get creative. We are used to visitors' books, sign-up sheets. But what else can you use to collect the information? Maybe you could have people testing product and leaving you feedback. You've seen that in supermarkets. Then most of us write false contacts over there because we don't want to be called. All right. And then you also figure out in advance, how do you follow up on referrals or interest? How do we follow up later? And you agree with the person, right? And then how soon will you follow up? Usually, rule of thumb is don't let 24 hours pass. The latest you can let it go is 7 days. But by then I might have forgotten you. I think it was here that I told the story of a young man who we were chatting at an event and he said, I'll reach out to you tomorrow. And he reached out 7 weeks later. 7 weeks. By the time he reached out, I had completely forgotten that conversation because the fire was burning hot at the beginning. But by the time he reached out, my mind was in a different place. So these are pre-event activities so that maybe how you need to do it is collect the data on a Google Sheet or have somebody who, even as people are signing up, transfer it to a central document that everybody can access. So if you tell somebody tomorrow, send WhatsApp to all those people, it's easy to move that information into your WhatsApp business and reach out to people. But you need to have set the timelines so that your team knows, even if we finish at 6 p.m. on Sunday, Monday, we need to reach out to people because we want to reach out to them within 24 hours. So these help you set the stage for the work you need to do with your teams and then inspire them on how they need to energize and work. On the event day, always assess whether people understand your business easily. Is the setup clean? Is it visible? Is it organized? Is it attractive, really? Does your setup call people in or does it chase them away? Have you ever gone to a stand that looks so messy? You're like, if they cannot keep this stand together, I don't think they can do my business well. I have. I've gone to stands, I'm like, I have trust issues. So is your pricing clear when you've labeled your prices? Did you predetermine prices? So your team members not like asking, I think, no. Do you have a price list present there? Multiple copies. Maybe you label the respective products. So when someone picks up, they know this jar is 600 shillings. This one is 300. It's simple things like that. When you're selling coaching programs, do people understand what each program entails, contains, and what the price point is? Or are they going to guess and say, from about, and then they pick the product that's your premium product, and then they're like, but I was told it is at 5,000. You ask your team, they said, no, we said from 5K. All right. Are the payment options easy? Are they accessible? How are you collecting leads? And are you actually collecting valuable leads? You can have people who are just coming to sign your visitor's book, but did they actually express the kind of interest you're looking for? So therefore, are you collecting leads and contacts? What are the questions you've taught your team to ask that will help you weigh whether this is a good lead, whether it's a cold, warm, or hot lead, right? And then you see, you have to have trained your teams on guiding your people to the next step. I'll go back to the beauty products. One of the exhibitions I went to, they had testers so we could feel how when you put that oil in your hands, how it melts and how it is absorbed by your skin. And they're like, would you like to buy one today? We have this small pack for XYZ. And they told me how to benefit my skin. I have tested. I will likely remove money for that. I went for another meeting where we had a really interesting coffee. It was a new brand, and they were selling both small tins. They had instant and they had the beans. And just how the young lady smiled as I approached the table, broke it down for me, was talking about the environmental, the green element of their business. Also talked about how it's green, it's female, it's indigenous coffee on an old farm. There was so much interesting stuff. Why is it interesting? My grandfather had a coffee farm. So I was always fascinated by the business. And then I asked her, which is it, a sweet? Is it earthy? So she's like, no, this is a sweeter kind. And I bought the coffee. She had done such a good job. I said, by the end of the event, please look out for me before I leave. I'll pick a coffee. Because it was like a 4-hour event. I didn't want to have it on my table. Towards the end, when I was approaching the food line, which was not very far from their stand, she smiled, hi, you said you'll buy one tin. I'm like, I'm still coming. Right? Are we collecting contacts and leads? Because at the end of the day, we observe customer behavior, listen to their questions, adapt our sales process, and include information or remove information for the next cycle. Every time you go to activate, it should be preparation for your next cycle. All right. Post-event, you are tallying. Some of these things you do there before you leave. You tally how many sales happened, how much money did you make, how much product did you move. So you have to be doing, you must have done a stock take before you came. Stock take happens in the shop or in the office. So you come back before you leave, you do a secondary stock take, figure out what moved, what didn't, and then you match those to the income you should have. Now, remember we talked about payment options here. If it is M-Pesa, you can easily figure out if you have the till with you there. If you're receiving the M-Pesa on your phone, you issued receipts. So do your tallies as quickly as possible, preferably before you leave the site, so that you know we came with X, we sold Y, we have Z income. Let us go back to the shop. You need to also figure out which were your fast moving products. What did people sign up most for? What were the common questions asked? So maybe as you're going along, you could have your teams just taking note of frequently asked questions. What was asked the most? What worked? What didn't work? What felt weak? And then identify how many people need follow-up, what's the format of follow-up they want, and then what could improve the next activation. So this is what you do in your debrief immediately. Then maybe when you get back to the whatever, which is your place of work, you do a further debrief to now do a deep dive into these things. Remember, in your follow-up list, you have guys who will tell you, call me on Monday. Others will tell you, call me in 2 weeks. Where are you storing the information for the call me in 2 weeks person? Did you put it on the calendar? And if you put it on the calendar, have you put everything? My name, my contact, where we met and what we discussed and what I'm following up with. So you see, before you leave the office to go for the activation, the shop, the home, wherever it is you're living from, you need to have thought through all these things so that when you come post-event, you have all these processes. So what we must understand is, like everything else in our business, this needs a system to run on. You've got your pre-event activities, your event activities, your post-event activities. So this becomes a cycle that you implement every time, so that your teams or just you are able to track. All right. So let's look at some examples. Our food business does tasting, visible preparation, aroma, pricing bots, right? And what is their ordering system? WhatsApp and delivery information. So it could be that you would send people, when people are like, how do I find you? Or are you on WhatsApp? What's your number? Here's our price list. You could push those, because it's easier now to go through your text and look at all the people you sent price lists to, right? And then your of course your flyer has payment details, contact details, delivery information. Here the goal is immediate experience and repeat purchase. All right. Or you could have a skincare business and people have tested, but you now want to have them give you before and after examples. So maybe you took a picture of how they were, you applied, and then they've gone, and you want to encourage them to send you a photo of 6 days later, 12 days, 21 days. If you're doing, usually for skincare products, 21 days is the cycle at which you know how your skin will respond to it. So then you are looking for different things. Do you want them to follow you? Do you want them to do a get ready with me moment? What you're looking for is trust and sensory experience, because that is what matters and that is what will sell your product. So you set the goal even before you get there, right? You also want, if you're a service provider, maybe you're looking for people to book a strategy session, give you a testimonial. You have some simple materials you want them to buy. You have your QR code for your booking links, and really lead capture forms. What you're looking for here is relationship building, maybe not an immediate purchase, because they will need to look around and see who says you're good, who says you're bad, those kinds of things, right? If it's a fashion or accessory business, you want people to test. So do you have styling examples, live modeling? Are you bundling offers? Here, you also want people to come and experience. So it's about experience, and some will be immediate purchases, some will be relationship building, because you are pushing your goal here is interaction and impulse purchases. So do you have small enough products that people will be so excited by the feel of that ring on their finger that they would buy it? Or that accessory, maybe you have a unique fascinator and this person is like, I have looked for something that stands out, and they pick it. Because when you're looking to interact and encourage impulse purchases, there must be something that your audience coming there is within their price point, and it's cool enough for them to want to buy now. Okay? Children's products, what you want to do is interactive experiences. And kids are very interesting. They see the car, they grab, they start driving it. All right. You want to have a parental conversation, maybe a referral. So what you're looking for when you're going for that kind of exhibition is really trust and engagement. Because then the parents remember how happy their child was. But for the parent, maybe it's a toy. You're speaking about how strong and sturdy it is. It doesn't break immediately. Although these days toys, the SI unit is to break as fast as possible. So when you're going out like that, what you're looking for, the strategy depends on your product. We cannot use uniform strategies. So some common mistakes we make, and I am rushing because I can see our time is flying. Common mistakes is attending every event without a strategy. Remember, we said the intention is to attend strategically. So not every event is yours. Let's say, for instance, it's a finance conference and people are talking about trade finance across the continent, and you're taking you're taking an unrelated business there. You will say, oh, I went there and I gained nothing. Did you actually map the business? I remember we did that, and the reason that the corner thrived is because we gave the SME focus, and our intention was just to have people who can offload product. International conference, so a lot of the product around beauty care, skincare, curios, those ones moved, right? The second mistake we have is over complicating the setup. Simple is best. Many times I tell people less is more. So let's not overload. We want clarity. We don't want confusion about what it is we do. I love going to exhibitions because you can tell the people who have mapped out their marketing strategy and reduced the number of things they want to do at this event. So they will be very clear what their backdrop is, what their posters are, which banners are on site, what information is available. Simple and organized performs better than fancy. I am not saying do not do a good stand, but even if it's a good stand, is it simple and organized? You don't want to overcomplicate things. Remember, you're responding to what your audience needs. So whatever it is you're putting together, you already know that they will appreciate that. All right. Mistake number 3 is waiting passively. And we've seen it very often. People just sitting at stands, watching you as you pass. I gave the example earlier of what some tour guides do. They have people at the stand, but they are roving in between, talking to people, encouraging them to go to the stand for more information. Because engagement matters. We respond where the interaction is warm, helpful, and intentional. I don't know if you've gone for an exhibition or a pop-up market. I used to go to the organic farmers market a lot. And at some stands, you'll say hi. And the person says, hi. Yeah, my friend, I'm not coming back. By going to that particular market, I didn't even know that I'd been looking for dairy-free products, chocolate. But there was this lady who we saw her smile from far. They had all these kinds of chocolate you could taste. She's Kenyan. She's trained in Belgium. She makes amazing chocolate. And they had like 17 flavors. Some of the absolute weirdest. And because I just said to her, I don't like milk chocolate. I like dark chocolate. She's like, that's okay. And there were like 8 different flavors. There were options. at different percentages of dark, anything from 55 to 85, right? And because she was actively looking around, smiling at people, asking, do you want to taste some really cool stuff? Her stall was packed. Two stalls down was a jewelry stand. They were not getting much business because they were just watching people and hoping that they will come. So waiting passively is not an option. Warmth, help, and intentionality will draw people to your stand. Additionally, if you don't have a follow-up process, you will lose a lot of opportunities post-event because every time you activate, there should be a next step. Remember, we've done next steps. We've done a very long list. If you are taking notes, then you will see there are multiple things you can do. All right. The other mistake is measuring only immediate sales. Many of us go to the activation and we say, okay, we sold 300 shillings or 3,000 shillings. But then Chesubire will call you 2 weeks later and say, I met you at that event and then I'll give you an order myself for 5K. When you're measuring and you're assessing your sales for the month, please note the sales that came from that activation. You measure your leads because you must convert your leads. So you measure sales on the spot, then leads, conversions. Those three will help you effectively measure whether the activation you did was worth it or not. Sometimes you may have gone and you've paid for your space, you've paid for your people, and maybe you spent 30,000 if that's a big stand, or like some of the smaller stands, like Vicky has her business mixer where the stand is like 2,500. And then immediately, maybe let's go with Vicky's of 2,500. Then maybe immediately you sold 1,500. But post-event, there are so many follow-ups that you've done. You've been able to sell 5K. Don't come back and tell Vicky I only made 1,500. Come back and say I made 1,500 on that day, but when I did my follow-ups, I converted and sold an extra 5,000. So you have paid 2,500. You have made 6,500. So you have actually been in profit of 4,000 bob. Many of us forget to measure those activities post-event. And finally, we forget about customer experience. People remember how your business made them feel, right? So are you professional? Are you warm? Are you clear? Right? Are you organized? It's like if you came into this space and every week we started super late, it was a hurried, poorly prepared presentation, and we never offered opportunities of growth, you wouldn't come back. I am so honored that there are some of you who have been here week in, week out for the last almost 3 years. It will be 3 years in September. Some of you have been with us every week for the last 18 months. And your presence has brought growth. So we can see some of you came in here wondering where I'm at, and now you're almost launching your idea. So then if we kept thinking, people are not serious, and you come and you receive substandard stuff, you wouldn't come back. Same thing for when you're out activating. The experience people have with you and of you determines whether or not they will come back for a purchase. So as we close, here are some things. These are some questions you need to ask yourself, and it's really a summary of the whole presentation. What's the goal for your activation? Does your setup help them understand your business? Are you creating engagement or just visibility? Do you have a clear action for everybody who's interested to take? Are you collecting and following up leads? What are the best fit events for your customers? How would you improve? How am I improving my next activation from what this activation has taught me? And where am I confusing activity for traction? The reality is all our sales activities, which is what we are winding up in this session, all our sales activities are designed to move people from interest to purchase. And sometimes we are all over the place. We are on the digitals, we are doing physicals, and we're very active, but our traction is low. That is why I asked that last question. Am I confusing activity with traction. Because at the end of the day, we want to sell. So this week, don't ask, how can I show up physically only? Extend the questions you ask. What experience are you creating? Is it enough to build trust? Are people coming back because I have given them a clear next step, and have I planned adequately? Because your sales activities must be planned. So yes, we're going online, but are we going online with a clear strategy? What part of our activities drive awareness? What drives conversion? Because we must have both. What part of what we're doing is information gleaned from customer conversations, customer interactions? How am I enhancing the experience from how they have responded to what we've put out in the past? Please understand that everything you do has to be a cohesive process. Your marketing is not divorced from your sales. They're partners, because marketing creates awareness. Sales is when you make the conversion. So if you've got marketing processes, are people asking questions? Are they sent to the right person who can close them effectively? Let's say you have somebody asking about a technical product. Do you have a technical person on your team on site for the whole of the activation to deal with those things? Right? So when we think like this, it takes you back to when I defined my customer. Where were they? What did they want? How did they want to be engaged? And did you build around that, or you came and built what you wanted? So that then you say, oh, activations don't work. So really the goal is meaningful interaction that moves our customers closer to trust, engagement, and action. That's it. We want to move thoughtful activation that helps attention become relationship. We want to turn attention to traction, attention to sales. So therefore, we must be actively thinking about which event is the most effective for what we do. If your product is already an in-supermarket product, maybe tasting will push it the next step. I know many times when people come up with new sausage brands, they do those tastings, and we all go, we're like, we know our favorite sausage brand. When people have new spreads, they do tastings. When you have new, like biscuits, they also do that. They come, they open, you taste the biscuit, then you buy one, get one free, pushes activation, allows you to go home and give your people to taste. And some of those tastings, I found myself buying biscuits, and I'm like, what did I do? Milk products, when who introduced a 1 liter packet of milk that is black? And there was tasting because it's full cream UHT, right? So you go, you taste it. So depending on what your product is, who your market is, how they want to be met by you, that will determine where you go for your activation, right? It will determine how you activate. It will determine who you activate with and which people you bring to the table. So when you look at it like that, you must be looking to create meaningful interaction, because that's how we all sell. Do we have questions? Is there a question in the house? Do we have questions? Or reflections? What is it you're going to go and do? Questions and reflections are open right now. Let me pull up the chat, see what is there. Excellent. Any questions and reflections? I see Mr. Mokoko is there. All right, over to you, Joe.
Thank you very much, Chesubire. I want to thank you, Dorothy. Dorothy needs to run for a meeting. Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you so much, Dorothy. The goal is to create meaningful interaction that moves customers closer to trust, engagement, and action. Visibility will get you attention, but Thoughtful activation helps attention become relationship, traction, and self. What a powerful reminder that in everything that we are doing, we are salespeople. And even as we are running our businesses, we are salespeople. So thank you, Chesubire, for that powerful reminder. And for everyone for being on the call this evening, as Chesubire said, consistency pays. So beyond today, what are we looking at? One, if you could give us feedback, it works very well. I know our M&D person, Felicity, is working behind the scenes to make sure that we capture it and make sure it is being applied. Have I shared the feedback? Yes, I've shared the feedback form. So please let us know. Are we moving you closer or are we taking you further? We need to move you closer so that we have that relationship and we keep on helping you build traction, even as we build traction on our side. So thank you for being here. Again, for those who have not yet joined our small community, Chesubire, now we are almost at 90. Yay! Wow. Just like that. Just like that. We thank the Lord for the growth. We thank all of you for being here. If you're not part of our community, you can join and you could share the link so that people who you feel, remember you're a catalyst. Those you feel in your community need to be catalyzed more. They can join the group. Remember, it is about moving together. We empower and inspire leaders to achieve their full potential. That as you achieve your full potential, those around you, you drive positive change. So kindly join the group. Beyond the group, allow me to say thank you to, oh yes, Nairobi Startup Summit, yay, tomorrow and Friday. 1 day pass is 2,500. We'll be there on Thursday and Friday. A good place to network. We're looking at having 1,000+ entrepreneurs in one hall, and it's great because we have 2 whole days, very many networking sessions and breakout sessions in different places there, discussing things pertinent to the growth of SMEs. And because it is by one of us, Thai events, we have an opportunity to go in and participate. And our very own Coach Chesubire will be starting off the conversation as the first moderator for the 2 days. So she gets to set the agenda. So thank you, Chesubire, for being gracious. And we also thank Thai Event for the discount that they have given to us. Allow us to also thank our sponsors. AFI Solutions, China Publishers, Regroup, Shala Global, the Cube Innovation Hub, Akiko Stories, Hack Integrated Services, SOA Events Institutes, Aura Essentials, Thai Events, Conscious Works Consult, Zurich Consulting and Business Support Africa, for being gracious enough to support as we move. Just a reminder, we also have 2 products on offer, Enabled and Sprout and Scale for the young ones, even as we bring them up. So if you know of teenagers and young adults who need help and to come and they're saying, we don't have work, we can help them create employment. Reach out to us, DM us, so that we can move together. For all our past episodes, jump onto our YouTube page, The Growth Edge, and you will get all our past episodes there. Chesubire, what is next? I know we are having next month, the last Tuesday, we have our quarterly event, right? Yay, looking forward to the Traction Lab. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Chesubire, I thought there was something else you had put up, or it was for after break.
No, next one. It's this one.
Good. So ladies and gentlemen, as June kicks off next month, remember we started this conversation a long way, talking about positioning. We've talked about marketing, and Chesubire has taken us through sales in a very interesting way. And I'm so proud of her because she used to tell me sales is not my forte. You've delivered it so well, and looking
You
forward
have
to
helped.
looking forward to you talking about finance. Remember, she's written a publication on finance. So finance that fuels growth. So June, actually, we have very many Tuesdays. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. So at least we'll have 4 days of class and the last Tuesday of Traction Lab. We're also organizing a physical meeting in July, so we'll keep you posted on that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for consistently showing up, for consistently giving us feedback, for consistently participating as we all move our traction steps forward. Allow me to thank our muscles, Miss T-Bags, Mr. Kwe, Miss Mimo, Miss Julia, Miss Wamboy, Miss Felicity, for supporting us and helping us think through and just ideating even when you give us feedback on how we can make the show better. So thank you all of you for being here. Chesubire, as I hand you over, forward focus. This week, how can I show up physically? Ask, what experience am I creating? What trust am I building? What next step am I guiding customers towards? Have I planned adequately? Your parting shot.
Start where you are. Start where you are.
Start where you are. Start where you are. And as my cousins and my in-laws say, I hope I'll say it right. Chaka, chaka.
Start where you are.
Where you are. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been QSS. I don't know even it's episode what. I think now we are like in episode 70 something or 80 something or 100 and something. Grateful for you being here. See you next week on Tuesday. You are blessed. I remain the one and only Joe Mukoko and Coach Subire. Thank you so much for with muscle delivering this conversation of sales throughout the month of May and keeping us thinking through. And ladies and gentlemen, as we teach, we also take the lessons and reflect back as AMC, and they help us move forward. So watch out for this space even as we work together. Na kwa hayo machache, you're all blessed. Have a good evening, have a good afternoon, have a good morning. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.